Alright, so it has finally happened. Donovan Mitchell has been traded from the Utah Jazz. Oh, so badly do I want to say to the New York Knicks, but no, he got traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Yeah, so the Cavs weren't like the most random team in the world just because they were in some Donovan Mitchell rumors a few weeks ago, and then it was reported by Ian Bagley of basically of the Knicks, SNY, that the Cavs were out of the Donovan Mitchell running. They just weren't going to be paying up that price. And look at that. A couple weeks later, September 1st, to start off a new month, Donovan Mitchell gets traded to Cleveland. So we're going to talk about both sides of this trade. I'll talk about the Knicks side, or not the Knicks side, just like a Knicks excerpt, just because I'm a Knicks fan and how I feel. But we'll talk about the Cavs. We'll talk about the Jazz. It is a massive one. So, Cleveland is sending unprotected first-round picks in 2025, 2027, and 2029, as well as unprotected picks in between in 2026 and 2028. They're starting it in 2025 because they can't trade their 2023 because it is protected from the Karis LeVert trade, which I think also makes them not able to trade the 2024, or maybe they wanted, so maybe that's a reason why. But either way, 3 first-round picks unprotected and 2 swaps, as well as Larry Markkinen, Ochai Agbaji, who was the 14th overall pick in the 2022 draft, and Colin Sexton, who signs a 4-year, $72 million contract with the Utah Jazz. That might have been a Shams tweet, but either way, this is a major one. So, I guess I'll talk about the Cavs side of it first. So you're gonna be like, Matt, like, what happened to your Knicks? I thought he was going to the Knicks. I thought he was gonna end up being a Knick if he was gonna get traded. Now, the Cavs gave up a lot. I don't know if it's because I'm like conservative when it comes to draft picks, and I've watched the Nets like go through the whole thing, and they had one of the bleakest futures with the whole Billy King trade, and I've seen the Knicks trade first round picks before. I'm fine trading first round picks in the near future when you know you're going to be good. Like, the Cavs are going to be a playoff team next year, 100%. Now, the East is pretty loaded. Like, the East is very good, and they're going to be good. So those first round picks that you're going to lose aren't going to be too bad, but they do start in 2025. And there's a chance Donovan Mitchell is even on the Cavs by then. So I believe he's on them for 23, 24, and 25. And then he's a free agent. So in 2027, he might not even be there. 2029, he might not be there. And swaps at 26 and 28. Oh, I don't really like that, man. It's tough to give up picks that far in the future. Now, you're going to get Evan Mobley for what? About 7 more years at the minimum. So Evan Mobley, either he likes it or not, will pretty much, unless he requests a trade and boycotts, he's going to be a Cav till 2029 because he's got 3 more years left on his rookie contract, and then he's got at least a 4-year rookie max extension, or 5 years. So he might be there till 2030. So you might be like, all right, we're going to have Evan Mobley there. Garland's extension kicks in not next year, but the year after. So we've Garland got 5 years. So he's there for another 6. So you have Garland till 2029, which is good. And then, yeah, you basically have Jared Allen for another 4 more years till 2026. So I see where they're coming from. Like, you're going to have at least Mobley and Darius Garland for a while. So you're like, as long as we have these two, we're not going to be like bottom feeders of the Eastern Conference or the NBA, and we're not going to be giving up top 5 picks. So that is a way to look at it because their team is so young. That's why even for Minnesota, you can look at it that way because they have Ant and Towns who are still very young with that Gobert trade. But Mitchell is at least, he's 25. Gobert is 29 or around that age. So it makes more sense for the Cavs to do this deal, but it is giving up a lot. And I think for the Knicks side of things, you're getting Mitchell. You would be giving up a lot. So this would probably be like Fournier or Derrick Rose, Emmanuel Quickly, Quentin Grimes, and these first. They obviously wanted RJ Barrett as well. So if it was RJ Barrett in those first, boy, that would have been pretty bad. So yeah, that happens. And then the Knicks roster isn't that optimistic for the future. It isn't as bright as the Cavs is. Like, Brunson's not going to be around in 2029. Randall won't be around in 2029. So yeah, I don't think the Knicks should have made this deal. It does suck that the Knicks are going to be in rumors and not going to get it. Sorry for making this about the Knicks. I'm just a Knicks fan. I wanted to kind of express that. So I'm not that mad at the Knicks front office for not doing this, but for the Cavs, this has its risks to it. Like, Mitchell could leave in 3 years and you don't have your first round picks for 26. You have a swap in 20, or you have a swap in 26, you have a swap in 28, you have no first in 27 and 29. It's just scary, you know? Who knows? Like, the NBA is so ever-changing. Like, Garland could request a trade. Mobley could request a trade. These guys could be injury-prone. They could not be good maybe then. Who knows? But it is looking like Garland and Mobley are going to be great. Now, while I don't love the package because I'm conservative with draft picks, I love their roster. You didn't have to give up a Coro in this, which is nice. I knew Agbaji was going to be in it. I knew Sexton was going to be in it. I don't know if they're going to be able to keep Marketing, but to make the money work, giving in Marketing is not that bad. I don't know if you'd prefer to have Marketing or Levert. I'm sure Marketing will get flipped again possibly, but we'll talk about that on the Jazz side of things. But yeah, you have Garland and Mitchell in your backcourt. That is automatically one of the best backcourts in the Eastern Conference. That's a better backcourt than Milwaukee. Yeah, if you count Holiday and like his Middleton's a 3 and Giannis is not. Better than Milwaukee. Better than Miami with Hero and Lowry. Philly's debatable with Maxey and Harden definitely. Better than Toronto's, I would say. Better than Van Vliet and Gary Trent Jr. Better than the Knicks with RJ and Brunson. Better than Chicago with Lonzo and Levine. I would say so. Yeah, I would say that's a better backcourt than them. And then Boston with Smart / Brogdon / Jaylen Brown. I would probably take Garland and Mitchell. So, yeah, that is automatically one of the better backcourts in the Eastern Conference, as well as one of the better front courts, and they're all still pretty young. You keep Okoro, you have Levert, you have Ricky Rubio coming back to be a backup point guard. I like that a lot. Sexton, honestly, I wouldn't want to pay him the $72 million if I were Cleveland. I like it a lot better for Utah because he'll be able to get like the number one. He'll be the number one option there. But we'll get into the Utah side of things. I like this for Cleveland. They were going to be my 5th seed going into the year. I don't know if I'm going to be able to put them any higher because I would still take Boston, Milwaukee, Philly, and Miami. I think you can make a debate with Miami, but they just have the track record and Cleveland doesn't, where I don't think I can put Cleveland above them yet. But I think Cleveland, I like Cleveland more than I like Toronto and Atlanta now, and that was up for debate. You might still like Atlanta or even Toronto over them. That's probably what is that? That's 5, 6, 7 teams, and then Cleveland, that's probably, well, then you got Brooklyn. Brooklyn, I probably will take still over Cleveland if they have KD. I don't know. The Eastern Conference could be a bloodbath. Like, one of Cleveland, Brooklyn, Chicago, Toronto, Atlanta is not going to make the playoffs next year. That's going to be a disappointing season for one of those teams. So yeah, let's get into the Utah Jazz side of things now, where they just have 13 unprotected picks and a bunch of swaps. Well, I guess, yeah, those go into that. So that's included for Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. Now, I've been making the Gobert, Donovan Mitchell trade Jazz videos for a while. I said, like, when you rebuild those teams, it is going to be one of the roughest teams to try to make a championship contender because their lack of draft capital, their lack of young, like, their non-existent young core outside of Donovan Mitchell, Gobert, Bogdanovic, Conley, they're all getting older. But now the Jazz have a very exciting future. Now, I would have been fine with the future after the Gobert trade. This doesn't really make it that much more exciting because you already had a young stud in Mitchell, and trading him away doesn't really, like, hey, you might get somebody that could end up being Donovan Mitchell, but hey, you had Donovan Mitchell. But man, I'm excited about this rebuild. Danny Ainge wasn't going to take anything less than this. We know that. And man, they have a very exciting future. So you're getting all those Timberwolves picks, all those Cavs picks. They're basically becoming the next Oklahoma City Thunder. So those picks could be very good. They could not. Those are very TBDs right now. We have no idea what those picks are going to look like for a while and how these trades are going to be looked at, because these trades, like the final details, aren't finalized till 2029 when these picks go to the Jazz. But either way, they got Sexton, 4 years, $72 million. That's under $20 million a year for Sexton. He was really good before his injury. He was good last year. I wouldn't say he has a very high ceiling, or he, I guess, can elevate your team, bring you to the playoffs individually. I don't think he's like that some other players in the league, but he's going to be a good scorer. If his efficiency is up, man, that is going to be somebody to root for in Utah. So I'm excited to watch him play in Utah. They have Ochai Agbaji now, who will be able to be a top option maybe on that team if they make some other moves, and we get to see him, who's very NBA ready coming out of Kansas, to be a top scorer for them. Lauri Markkanen is going to get a lot of run, probably as their starting power forward. Now also, they also got Jared Vanderbilt, I'm excited to see there, but Walker Kessler, another first round pick in this past draft, but we already kind of talked about that. Will they be moving Mike Conley, Bojan Bogdanovic, Jordan Clarkson? Like, if you're telling me there's a way they can get the Lakers first round picks in 27 and 29 maybe, and you're giving them Bogdanovic and Conley or Bogdanovic and Clarkson, you do that. You do have to take on rush, you buy him out. What's wrong with that? But yeah, the Jazz are probably going to continue to make moves. I'm sure they'll try to move Bogdanovic. I don't know if they're going to be going for first. So like Woj says, Utah still has coveted veteran trade assets, including Bojan Bogdanovic, Jordan Clarkson, and Mike Conley. They'll approach an Oklahoma City-esque haul of draft assets once they're done dealing. So yeah, I think Clarkson and Conley could probably go for first. I don't know about Bogdanovic because he's a veteran rental. At least Conley's under contract for a couple more years, and maybe that point guard veteran presence will be a little bit more valuable. I would think he would go for first. Clarkson, I think, could definitely go for first because he's a younger scorer off the bench, similar to what LeVert went for last year. But either way, say Utah just gets 2 first-round picks for those 3 players. Man, they have a very exciting future now because it's very uncertain what it's going to look like. Like, you're building around Colin Sexton, Ochai Agbaji, Jared Vanderbilt. We'll see if they move Malik Beasley, Walker Kessler, Colin Sexton. Yeah, they're going to be bad next year. But hey, maybe they're adding Wembanyama or they're adding Scoot Henderson. I'm excited about this Jazz future. I'm excited about the Cavs' immediate future. I don't know if Mitchell will be there long term. I assume he'll probably enjoy it because I think they'll have some success there. I'm very excited to watch the Cavs next year. I love their backcourt. I love their frontcourt. We'll see if Okoro reverts maybe that 3. And the Jazz, I'm excited about the rebuild I'm going to do. So on the main channel, Donovan Mitchell Cavs rebuild out tomorrow on Friday. And then on Sunday, we'll probably see a new look Jazz rebuild post the Donovan Mitchell trade. So let me know what you guys think of the trade down below. Drop a like if you did enjoy the video, and I'll catch you on the next one.